Ask yourself this question. What would Putin want an American president to say and do? He would want the president to praise and admire him. He would want the U.S. president to avoid criticizing him no matter what Putin does. Putin would want the U.S. president to dismiss facts and conclusions reached by U.S. intelligence services that Russia meddled in the U.S. elections and accept Putin's denial of interference. Putin would want the president to abandon Ukraine and cease providing military aid, making it more likely that Ukraine will be absorbed into the Russian Federation, which is Putin's goal. With the U.S. abandoning Ukraine, Putin only needs to wait for Ukraine to run out of ammunition and sacrifice a few more 100,000 Russians to win eventually. Putin would want the U.S. president to undermine NATO, express doubts about U.S. willingness to defend a NATO country attacked by Russia, or even to suggest that Russia attack European democracies that are NATO members. You can see where this is going. There is no proof, to my knowledge, that Trump is being paid by Putin, a claim made by the former Republican Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, that was recorded on tape. And there is no proof that Trump is doing whatever Putin wants because the Russians have compromat on him. If either of those were ever proved, that would, of course, add treason to Trump's list of criminal indictments. The point that I'm making here is that Trump's words and actions relating to Putin, NATO, and Ukraine are consistent with what a rational person would expect from someone who is under Putin's influence or is doing his bidding. The most recent statement made by Trump on NATO is consistent with what Russia would want him to say about NATO. And this is a quote. I'm sure most people have read it by now. Quote, "You didn't pay, you're delinquent. No, I would not protect you. In fact, I would encourage them to do whatever the hell they want." End of quote. That is exactly what Putin would want a U.S. presidential candidate to say. Many GOP politicians stood by Trump's comments and tried to explain them away. They are among those senators and House members who are also opposing further aid to Ukraine. Trump has so far successfully killed any additional aid to Ukraine by telling his minions that are firmly under his control and the House and Senate to oppose the bipartisan immigration bill that included many Republican asks on that issue and none of what the Democrats wanted in law changes, such as a pathway to citizenship for the DACA children. The end result is that the Republicans get what they want. Nothing done on immigration before the election and no further U.S. aid to Ukraine. I would point out that 11 NATO members are spending more than 2% of their GDP on defense as of 2023, and more will comply in 2024-2026. In 2023, Poland spent a larger percent of its GDP on defense than the United States. The incentive to increase defense spending among NATO members has nothing to do with what Trump has done in the past, as some Republicans are claiming now, but to a growing realization that Russia is a threat that cannot be mollified, but only deterred from achieving its imperialistic objectives, which is why NATO exists. It is now generally recognized that Russia's imperialistic objectives did not change by attempting to increase mutually beneficial economic and trade relationships, something that Putin abandoned in a heartbeat, in his effort to absorb Ukraine into his totalitarian and Orwellian state, terminating the freedoms enjoyed by Ukrainian citizens, and to Russify Ukraine as it has done in the past with other cultures and languages and nations. It has become apparent that Putin is willing to murder civilians on a vast scale and to turn cities into rubble to achieve his objectives, including cities in Ukraine like Mariupol that was predominantly inhabited by those who spoke Russian rather than Ukrainian.